me see, copy. Where's the paste? Alrighty, let's see. Control V. Oh, like this you're talking about?
Yes, sir. It's just black.
Oh.
Yeah, mine was doing that at first a lot, and then it just stopped all of a sudden after a few days of doing that.
Yeah, mine was working fine yesterday morning because we did an exercise for Scott's class, and then I came back to it, and it was.
What exercises did you do?
We did an activity.
Did you create external switch?
No, I didn't change anything for the servers. It was just
VMs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me send email to this guy real quick. New email to Chad. Ten dot 10.1 10.38. Okay, let's see. All right, so I send email to tech support, ITC, if they can solve that problem. All right, so let's record this one here. Okay, so we in chapter 3, I know you designed the table, and now we're in the process to implement what we learned in SQL. So I did something last Tuesday, right? Yes. And now I'm going to go through steps so you don't have to get confused what you're supposed to do. Okay, so the first thing you need to do after you install your software and stuff like that, you need to start creating the database. Actually, I can show you from here. So if I go start, and I don't know what the name of it. It's that SQL. What I put it right here, management tools. So if you install this one, so you need to go to Microsoft Server Management. You click on it. It's gonna take a few seconds. And let me move it over here. Let's see. Oh, why I didn't drag it? Okay. There we go. And you're gonna get to a screen like this. So anyway, that's basically the SQL server. Now we're interested in creating database. So this is when you go to the databases right here. And you get two options. You right click and you put a new database, okay? And that's how you start it. So in the book, in chapter 3, they tell you the steps how to do that. So once you create the database, you have to give it a name, okay? So you have whatever name you want to give it. Let's say, what name are we going to give it? Let's say XYZ. Okay. So now this is my XYZ. Okay. That's my database. Now in the database, this is where you can start creating basically entities. What's the entities? What's the other term for entities? Tables. That's when you start creating tables. Now, if you notice right here, under this guy here, you have database diagram, tables, view, external resources, synonyms, mobility, servers, broker. We're not going to deal with this yet, but later on we can. But the most important thing is to create a database first. And then after that, this is where you can start your tables, okay? Now, in the tables, you have what? What we create inside the table? Columns. We do columns. So that's what the first thing you need to do. You need to create that tables. So, okay, so that's why we focus here on the creating tables. What just sort of creating database. That's how you create the database. Now, of course, I'm using it depends on the DBMS, on the database management system you're using. So for the Microsoft Server Management Studio, you do it that way. If you're using MySQL, which is pretty much the same thing, but they use different tools, okay? But the syntax will be the same thing, which is right here. Create database and you give it a name, okay? So create database and you put the name of the database. And you need to end it with semicolon. So create database, or you can say actually create, this is the database. But if you want to create tables, okay, that's a creating database already did by right click. If you want to create tables, then we're going to go and in some of the commands you can use, make sure whatever you want to do, you want to use the database. So notice, and everything you need to know about the crude, okay? You need to put the command, which is, this is the keyword command. This is the name of the database in this case, and followed by semicolon, okay? Now, once we create it, over here, that means if you have more than one databases, and you go straight to, if you do a query and you use this database, that means anything I need to do with this database. Now, you're not gonna do this one in yet, using this stuff right here till later, but because the reason why they use it this way, because they use MySQL, which is a different management system. Now, creating a table, this is the syntax, okay? We need to create table and you give it a name. And this is how it's done here. And to do that, you have to start a new query. I'm gonna show you how to do it like we did last time. So create table, that's the keyword, that's a command. And you need to give it a name. In this case, they call it sales rep. Okay? Now, after you create table, or you put the name of the table right here, then you need to open bracket. You notice that parentheses right here? Then everything has to be inside that bracket. So now we put in the attribute, okay, for this entity, which is rep ID. And this is what we call it. You need to put the data type for that. Now, on the previous example that I showed you, I put var char, okay? So the difference between char and var char, char, like if you put, let's say, a 20, char 20, and you use, for example, out of 20, you use 12 characters. So you're wasting like 8 spaces, okay? When you say varchar 20, it's only going to use whatever that name, okay? So it's more precise to use the varchar. And down the road, we're going to talk about that too. Now, on every table, we're supposed to have what? A unique identifier, okay? To identify a table. So what is a unique identifier here? Or the record actually, is the rep ID. This is where we put the primary key, okay? We need to put a primary key. So that's the primary key. You have to put it in here, primary key, and you put a comma. Now, and this is your columns. So we have columns for this, columns for the rest of them. First name, char 20, last name, char 20, blah, 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 all of this. Now, notice over here on some of the different data type, we have decimal. When you say decimal 7.2, what does that mean? The commission decimal 7.2. So how are we going to interpret this? That means I have what? Total of 7 digits or 7 numbers. 2 out of those 7s are after the decimal point. So let's see if we go see this one here. Why did they default it to blue, to yellow? Okay, so I'm gonna have 2. Let's say put 1, 2, 3. How about that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's the 7 right here. It could be any number actually. It could be any number, but 2 of them is going to be decimal. So we'll put my decimal right here. See that? So that's what I mean. So you have 5 of them is before the decimal, and 2 of them after the decimal. And this could be any number. It could be 1,600, 434. Okay. 0.16. Okay. So that's what that means. And the same thing here with the decimal rate decimal. You're going to have a 3 digits, and 2 of them is going to be after the decimal. Any question at this point? All right. So basically, this is how you create a table. That's a step. Step number 1. Let's put in step number 1. Step number 1, you need to create what? You need to create the database. Okay. Step number 2, you need to design your what you call schema. This is part of the schema. You need to create tables. Okay. And all this information in this table has to be related. Okay. Now, the key things that to distinguish each record or each row is by the primary key. And the primary key is going to help us to prevent some kind of duplication. Okay. So we don't have to duplicate the entries, basically. That's what the primary key. So if, for example, we're going to see the table down below. And as you can see, create table, sales rep. That's how you start. Then you put rep ID, chart, primary key, blah, blah. You can do that. Or at the end of the bar, at the end of the table, you can identify the primary key. But it's good to do it first. Okay, I think over here they tell you they do it with different types of SQL. Like we said, we have a lot of different SQL version. We have MySQL, we have SQL, which is Microsoft. We have Oracle. Okay, pretty much all of them has the same command. Okay, with some differences. Like I was Googled this yesterday that described that we're trying to do, which is maybe the management system does not accept it. So, but anyway, so that's what the second step you need to do. You're gonna see something like this right here. And notice, don't forget about the semicolon. That means this is the end of the table right here. Each SQL statement ends with a semicolon. So the whole thing is one statement. Create tables here is one statement. Notice that there's no any places that semicolons. We have comma. And this is to remind you, basically, if you remember C#, what we used to do, for example, we'll put the data type. But this is the opposite, actually. Over here, they put the variable and the data type, okay? In C# we'll put the data type, and then we'll put the variable, and if it's the same data type, we'll put comma, 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 and here it's pretty much the same. This is semicolon at the end. Okay. And this is what they're talking about here. It should be noted that the primary key clause in the previous statement specify that rep ID will be unique identifiers to row, meaning no duplicate are allowed for the column. See what I'm saying? So if you have a name, first name Mike, last name Charif, okay, on the same table, it's possible, but the sales rep ID is supposed to be different. I cannot have the same sales rep ID that has first name or last name. This is like a duplicate. And this is a no, okay? It's not gonna allow you to do that. So that's the purpose of the primary key. They give you some hint. Are you reading those chapters, by the way? And over here, you can do it different ways, but I like it this way because it's more readable, okay? So it's like a readable format. I mean, you can continue on the same line, but looks like it's better. It's more readable. Making code readable is an example important. The more readable the code, the easier it is understand and modify proper indentation, and can make code much more readable compared to code that is not indented properly. Indentation basically we use in any programming language for readability purposes. And this is one of the characteristic of good program from a bad program. Notice over here we have different way to create a sales rep table in MySQL. They use Workbench, so they use the same thing in here. Create table sales rep. It's the same thing. But the only difference is in when you do that in here, we use execute. Over there, they have a different button, okay, for the execute. It's run. They use run, I guess. But it depends on what management system talking to your database. That's why we use Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. And that's basically the Management Studio talking to the DB, to the database, which is the SQL Server. Okay, this is another thing if you use an Oracle, okay? Notice that the same thing. Pretty much the same command. Look at this one here. They use char here, which is 2. This is fixed. It's used for a fixed length field. Okay, over here we use varchar. And this is varchar, and this is varchar. So what's the difference? Like I mentioned earlier. Char means it's okay. If you say 2, it's 2. But if you put, for example, rep ID char 10, and I'm using only 2, so I'm wasting 8 spaces. So therefore, if you're using varchar and you put 2 or 10, let's say, and use 2, it's going to only use 2. Okay? Is used for variable length field columns. Like, for example, if you put, for example, that makes sense. The first name, we don't know the name, how it's going to be. Some names maybe have 12, some names 8, some, we say maximum is going to be 20. Okay? If you have, for example, we used to have long time ago an instructor from Greece, and his first name is like a mile long, okay? I don't know how many characters. And also we have over here Mr. Marcuse, first name, Athanasiosis. It's like maybe 12 characters, his first name. So, or if you get a Russian name, okay? Kalashnikov, okay, whatever they call it. It's like a long name. So in case you have those kind of name with the 20 characters and you only use, maybe some names use 10. So we're not wasting a lot of spaces. So that's the idea behind char and varchar. So this is the Oracle. When people use Oracle, that's what they do. And by the way, they use a different different server. They may use Oracle 19C Express Edition. The good things about this class is doesn't matter if you use an Oracle, if you use an MySQL, or Mary or whatever. We have a lot of different types of names of databases, or Amazon, whatever. They all have pretty much standard main command. It looks the same. Okay. Okay, so SQL Server, that's what we use. Okay, so that's what we use. And now notice that you can use the execute command to run. So over here, they use this green button. See that? That's the difference. Over here, they use the green button to run the command. Let's say, yeah. Okay, in our case, we use the execute. So create table, sales rep, and you open the parentheses, you put all the variables, you put the semicolon, then you execute it. It's going to tell you complete item, blah, blah, blah. Command completely successful. Okay? So I sent all this material to you before. It's on the Canvas. So please take note, read this stuff right here to make sure you understand what you're doing. Now this is this is the show tables, which is we're gonna deal with it later. But this is on MySQL. There was verification from MySQL that the table was created. You may view the list of the table within activated database by using show table command. And that's how I use it. Now, anything you do with SQL, after the command, okay, you have to put semicolon. It's show table semicolon. That's the end of it right here. Then you can run it. After you do that, you can run it. Now, in our case, we can run it with the execute. In the corrected errors and SQL commands, suppose you attempted to create sales rep table using create table, command shown in 318, which is, you get 318 right here. Okay. Which contains several mistakes. Instead of displaying a message that the table was created successfully, MySQL display an error message about a problem. I mean, we've seen that. We've seen some of them. Let's see what they have here. Which is same. This is MySQL. It's not SQL. So char should be char. Instead of CHR, you put char. You can go in SQL, you can go into corrective. And you notice that this does not turn blue. Because whenever you put something, it's supposed to turn blue. You can notice this is an error right here. Anyway, I suppose you write a table and you did a mistake and you want to start all over again. So this is one of the commands they can use. Drop. Okay, to drop a table, execute drop table command, followed by the name of the table you want to delete, and semicolon. To delete the sales rep table, for example, you do drop table sales rep semicolon. Okay. So let me ask you a question. How many of y'all at least did one table on the SQL server? Anybody tried any table?
I was able to make a table.
You did? You did one?
I was able to make two.
Oh, good. Very good. Anybody else?
I haven't had a chance yet. I was having difficulties with the studio download, but I think I fixed it just now. So I'm going to try to work on one this weekend.
Okay, so um, so please take care of that servers because you need to start practicing. I'm sure something to go blank is either you run out of space or you run out of resources. I don't know what's the deal to go blank. So how much RAM you putting in there?
Well, I put 4. Originally, I had put 2, but I
So you
put
put
4 on the
four for all of them?
SQL
How
ones.
many servers you have?
Well, I have the 4 for Scott's class. They have 2 each, and then I have the 1 for this one. And
So how much memory you put? 2 gig?
2 gigs in all of Scott's, and then 4 gigs on this one, on the SQL one.
So you have 4 times 2 is 8.
Yeah, I have 8 in total.
8 and 4 is 12. How many gigabyte of RAM you have?
I mean, I think if I saw correctly, the host machines have 16. I'm pretty sure they have 16.
I think you have 13. 13 or 16. So that's why you're running out of RAM. Okay, make sure. Okay, did you leave those virtual machine running? So make sure you turn off
Yeah,
all the
the only
virtual
one
machine
that
they
I
not
have
use.
running is just the SQL one. I turned all the Scots off unless we're using them.
Yeah. Dylan, did you left them on all the time? All your virtual machine when you shut down?
No, sir. I turned them all off.
Okay, so that's not memory issue then. Okay. So anyway, so if you wanna delete the table, that's the command: drop table sales rep. And then I think they have a difference between drop and delete. Okay. This one is gonna drop the I think the data. Okay. Delete, I think, is gonna delete everything. And that's what we talked about, the use the data type, the difference between char and varchar. You tell them about this is basically the difference explanation here. So char is it takes whatever. If you say char 2, that says 2 spaces, you use 2 spaces, that's great. If you say char and you use 20 spaces, you say char 20 and you use 8, so you're gonna have 12 blanks. Okay, you're wasting 12. Larger char is gonna use whatever it takes. Okay. Date, which is store data type. This is basically it's on the format of YYYY, the MMDD. Okay. And for example, 23 October 20 is October 23rd, 2020. Yeah, I like it this way. 22, 10, 10, 3. So they use this format. Decimal, we already talked about decimal and an integer and small integer. Basically, it's less than the other one. Okay, so what's important is this is using null. Because sometimes you have, for example, a column and you don't know the data, what's gonna be and how much. So you can say null at this time. But in some data like name, we're not gonna put it null, okay? No, in some data said no, not null. See that in front of it. Like if we say first name, varchar 20, not null. Okay, that means we don't expect to be blank. That's what that means. We don't expect to be blank. And I think they say right here, see that? Not null. So this is if it's going to be blank, it's okay. This is okay. This is okay. But over here, say no, we have to have some name and last name, not null. So it's better to put not null on all of them, but by default, it's going to be null. So anyway, so if you put null, last name is empty. Okay, so it's not going to be good. But when you say first name and you put Mike, it's if you fill it up with, then we'll be okay. But to be on the safe side, not null, put not null. And that's what they say. If you create in sales rep table with the create table command, the DBMS, which is a database management system, will reject any attempt to store a null value in either the first name or last name. So you cannot leave it blank. The database allowing stored null values in address column because it was created without specifying not null, as we discussed. Because the primary key column cannot accept null value, you do not need to specify rep ID column as not null. Because you have to have a value for this. Oh, VirtualBox is good. Yeah, you can do that. Actually, you don't need a server for this class because you can run it on Windows 10, like what I'm doing now. See, all the stuff here is on Windows 10. So if you have a good computer, okay, you can do it on Windows 10. Now, if you want to do VirtualBox, that's another good idea to isolate it. Okay, let's say now we did the structure. How are we going to put the value for each one of them? And that's another command that we need to use, and we call the insert. We're going to insert values to the table. Now, how are we going to do that? We have to use what we call insert command. So we say insert into, and you put the values. So the insert command adds rows until, okay, so they have some kind of, right here. Insert into name of the table. Okay, then you put values, and then you, for example, you go, for example, the first one is supposed to be, if you look, is the rep ID. So the first one here is 05 rep ID. So this one really, you don't have to put quotation, but it's preferable to put quotation because once you put it inside quotation, that means you cannot apply this value to any mathematical operation. Because at this point is like defined as character, because we did varchar right here. Remember that top? It's a char. Now, if you put integer, then you don't have to put them in quotation. But because we define it as char, which is character, then we need to put them inside a code, or text, they call it, right here. You need to put them inside. Then we need to put the first name, comma. The next value in this one will be the first name, which is Suzanne, and we're going to put them another text in between. Comma, Garcia, same thing. Now, this one here, which is basically define the address, which is in between, because this is char, and then the code, state, and so on. Now, any question at this point? So far, you need to understand, create the table, you put create, table name, semicolon. Then you put all the values, like say, create table, sales rep, put all the whatever fields, whatever columns in there, in here. Then you close the bracket, then you put semicolon. Now, after we put all that stuff, we take care of this one here. Then we need to put values. For example, first name. What's going to be the first name, last name? And that's where we use the verb insert. Okay? And that's where we do the insert. Now, over here, say insert into cell. Okay? Sales rep. So we insert into the table. Okay, let's do one all together so at least we get to that point with the database. So we created a database, which is this one here. Let's see what's in here. Also, you can do a new project here. So now at this point, I need to go to the query. Now, if you want to cheat, that's fine. You right click on the table and you see a new table, okay? But it's better to use new query. And let's see, tools, import, export, import selected environment setting. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to add the line numbers, okay, to the line. So at this point, it's not. Export selected, import settings, setting will be saved. Okay. Let's see what's next. I think general, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot how to do that. It's been a while. Anybody did the line number? Previous, maybe this one here. Export, import, no, is it? Let me see. Maybe that's not the right one. Tools, external tool, that's what it is. About tools, options. Do you see line number somewhere? Use hardware, use virtual. I forgot. I don't know. Project text editor, maybe that's what it is. I'll check it out. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't want to waste time. Okay. So over here, what are you supposed to do? We're supposed to type create. We need to create table. Okay. Table. First of all, what you need to do over here, you go to files, and let's see. Okay, so let's create the table. Create table. Okay, what we need to call tables? This is like sales rep, right? cells and hyphen rep. Okay, and then you put the bracket. Okay. Now you start putting your variable. For example, we have a rep ID. Now you need to put the data type, char, to, let me move this guy here over here so I can copy the table, the data from it. Okay. Now, after I put char, okay, I supposed to do what? I put char rep ID, char. Then I need to do what? I need to do primary key. Primary key, comma. Now I put first hyphen name, no spaces, make sure to put no spaces. Name, okay, what the data type is this? I can put var at this point, var, varchar, varchar, and I put 20, comma, last name, last hyphen name, varchar, 20 also, comma. What else? We need to put the address. This is going to be variable. I don't know how long it's going to be. The address is going to be different from one to the other. So I'll put, we need to put like address 20. Okay. And what else we need to put? Address, state or city first? City. City. Your notice on the address, looks like we get some error because address maybe we cannot use. You follow what I'm saying right here? It's all black. This is blue. I think it's the server. Maybe something you check for that. What let me see if I can correct this one here. No. Okay. I'll keep it like it is. Address. Okay, save and go varchar. Okay, so date.
Gonna be the same.
Did you say something?
I said yeah, it turns like after the group state.
Yeah, I don't know. Sure. Sure. State abbreviation chart. That is postal. Postal chart. 5. Zip code 755 over here. Yeah. Go. I put city limits is 59. Okay, so I'm gonna end it right here. So now I need to close. This one here. This is one. Okay. So I execute this one here. Okay, I'm gonna make it successful. So now that's the stuff here. Right now, I need to insert. I need to insert values in here. So you do insert line. First of all, I wonder why it doesn't stay. Yep, green. Look. No. It's a good question. So we need to insert into, so we need to do another query right here. Okay. Make sure you all, whenever you work, you are with the same database right here. And if you go expand this one here, table. Let's see, expanded tables. How come it doesn't show me the columns in here?
You might need to refresh the folder.
Yeah, that's a problem with this refresh. You always need to refresh, you're right. Very good. So you need to go to the table, refresh it. Let's see. I didn't create the sales rep table, so maybe I need to go to the database, refresh it. Okay, so right here, you see that? Now we have it. Sales rep. That's my tables. So we need to refresh it. Now, if you expand it, it's supposed to say, yeah, now you can see the columns. You see that? Now you can see columns right here. And it's a good idea. Now, also you need to go over here and you need to do the Intel. Let's see, it's not in here. Yeah, I can see it in my, I think it's a little bit different when you install it in the refresh right here. Okay, so let's do another query here. And now we need to insert to You see that? Okay, so what's the insert to is going to be what? It's going to be insert into, and we need to put the name of the table, which is oh, it's already doing it. Sales. Sale. You see, it's supposed to give me sales underscore. It's supposed to see it on the rep. Okay, so now you can see it, sales rep. That's what I'm looking for. And now after you do that, you have to put what? Inner. And you put values. Values. And you put, okay, so define the, okay, you see that? That's the columns that we need. Expand the column. So you can see that I need, this is char, so I need to put value for this. So that's a good idea to open the column so you can put the values as you go in the columns. So for example, I need to put this one in quotation. So I put the, let's say, the rep ID is, we start with 100. Oh, we said 2, so I cannot put, say, put 01. How about that? Then you put comma. After that, we have the sales, the first name. Well, I need to put quotation because it's characters. So put Mike. Okay. And put this one here. Oh, not, I need to put a quotation, then put comma. Last name, you put a quote, and you put whatever your name. And we need to put a quote. Then you need to put comma, address. So this one, the address is also characters. You put them 1101 Bertrand Drive. This is school address. Okay. Comma. And we need to put what? We put the address for the city. City also. Lafayette. And we need to put state. Also LA. LA. Comma. Okay, what else we need to do after LA? Zip code, right? So zip code is character, so it's gonna be 70503. Actually 06 over here. Okay, so we're done. So after that, I need to close. We put the bracket, shift, and you put a semicolon. So now you can execute it in one row, effective, which is good. So now if you want to repeat the same thing, okay, same value, is either you go over here and change them, or you can copy and start. You can copy this one here, and you insert in the second line. And let's say Mike instead put Jack, put Smith. Okay, I put Smith. Well, he lives in the same address. Okay. I need to highlight this name. Oh, sales rep. Oh, it's already on completion stage. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what we do. Okay, put like example, UA, and we put this select statement. We'll put select star. That means all the column. Do sales rep. See, that's what the problem is. They're supposed to give me the whole thing. You should give you listen. Rep. Semicolon. Is that right? Select star sales rep. Let's see. Yep. There we go. It shows only one record. It didn't say the other record. Let's see. Maybe we need to refresh. So let's see something here. You know why it didn't work? Because I kept the same value over here. You understand? I put 0101. That's why I didn't add it. Because they have this, because this is a primary key. You cannot duplicate it, remember? With the same one. So I need to change this one to 02. Okay? Now, if I do this, now it's going to add another record. There we go. Then if I go back to the select statement and execute it, now I'm going to have two of them. You follow? This is a common mistake. Did you see the mistake I did? You have to change for the second record. You need to change the primary key, the rep ID. Because I put 01, I didn't change it. So you need to change it. The next one, if you want to add one, you need to put what? 03 and so on. Because we cannot have a duplicate rep ID. Any question at this point? So we need to practice. You need to practice the table. I know Devins and I don't know who else that did at least one table, which is great.
Mine worked long today.
It works too?
Yeah, I was able to
Devin?
today.
Not Devin. Who's speaking? Is that who said mine is work? Who's that?
Ian.
Oh, it works?
did everything you did, and everything worked out for me too.
Awesome. So that's very good, actually. So we need to be all on the same page. What is his name? McZeal, where you are in the process? You skipped a couple of classes before, right? So, Eddie McZeal, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. So what's your status of your servers?
I didn't see the when I was on the netcad. That's where you sending everything.
Netcad. Come on, man. This is not Cisco. This is SQL. You see when you miss classes, what happened?
Yeah.
Hey, you have to perform, buddy. You don't have to wait for the next fall because we don't offer those classes till next fall. Okay, so you need, I send you an email with the servers, with all that stuff. You need to create a virtual machine. Has nothing to do with NetAcad, okay?
All right. I'll go
You
check.
have to review the email I send. You have to go and create SQL virtual server. And you need to install the software we're talking about is the instruction in Canvas, not in NetAcad. You go to your Canvas because this is not a Cisco class. Okay.
Go check that.
So we have to get to the same page to go further. You have to do like we're doing here at least. Before we have the first test. Because on the first test you need to create a couple of tables. So we have only 3 people practicing it. What about the rest of you? Let me see. Maybe I receive an answer for one of your server. Outlook.
I just got the management studio installed today. 'Cause like I said, I was having issues with it the other day, but now that it's back on there, I mean, I should be able to do any of the activities. I think everything was working fine. I mean, I haven't had any issues as of today, so.
Okay. Let's see. I got an answer from tech support. Okay, for yeah, the VM is back online. Please tell the student not to create external Hyper-V switch. Are you creating external Hyper-V switch?
I connected to the internet switch that you had told us to use, and then
Okay, so what you say on the Hyper-V, do not create external Hyper-V switch. Because anytime you do that, you're gonna break it.
I have
Okay.
a quick question. I saw Andrew mentioned it. Would you happen to know if there's like any word on if the book is going to be available through Cengage anytime soon?
I sent the email today, so I sent them
Okay.
another email today, actually, before we start the class. But
Okay,
you
'cause
have the first 3 chapters, right?
yeah, I saw a couple of people were able to get it by like emailing Cengage support directly, but it seems like a lot of extra steps, and every student would have to do that. So I was curious if they were just
I understand. So I'm gonna call them again. So
okay. Thank
they
you.
lied to us. They told us September 7 or 8. Now we are in what? 9/24th.
Yeah, it's
That's the
it's been a while.
time. But I'll ask him. Okay, also the storage, are you using snapshot? Are you using snapshot, by the way, on Scott's class? For server 2, are you taking snapshots?
He has us taking screenshots.
Okay, if you
for-
take snapshots, that's what takes the spaces. Do not take snapshots.
Ah, okay.
The snapshots is going to use a lot of storage spaces. So he dedicated 200 gig for each VM. So make sure don't take any snapshots, because that eats a lot of spaces, okay? Anyway, so please, you have the weekend, make sure before the next class, make sure you do the, make sure you up to this point, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's see what else we can do here. Gee. I swear to God, I don't know. We have some people, Cisco 1, they don't know how to take the test. They don't know how to click on and take assessment. Okay, missed the message, the close chat after 2 minutes. Who's this? Oh, don't worry about it. Let me see. I'm communicating with the sales rep. So as soon we can get the award, I'll send you an email. Alrighty. Uh, so they have. We did the couple of statements here. So how about if I want to add some more records of this? So we can do, I think right here, I'm going to insert. I mean, I don't have to, I can change this one here to 3. And I can make it the same one, Jack Smith. Okay. And run it. This is a new record. You see this, you know. Okay. And go back to select, execute. Okay, and now put in Jack Smith, what? They have a different ID. Okay. So the next time we need to learn about how we do updates. Okay. We're gonna do the updates to update the records or change values in the records, which is basically the same format. Update, sales rep, set last name, do whatever. Let's do that. We can do that like now. New query. Okay, so we need to update. Update, okay. Did what? Sales. You see, it's supposed to give me, when it put S, supposed to give me sales rep. I don't know why it's not doing it. Let's see, sales. sales underscore rep. Okay. We're gonna do a set lost name equal to, let's say I missed my name, equal
This is
to,
Charif. I just wanted to double check. This session is being recorded, right? Because I have to leave for work.
yeah,
So
it's
I don't.
recorded.
Okay, I just want to make sure that whatever from here to the end of class, I can rewatch whenever I get back.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
This is, we need to change from CHA to Sharif with S, okay? Now, where is that record? So that's what we say, where the only way I can track it by rep ID, rep ID equal to 0, 1, right? Okay. Let's say if this is gonna work, we execute it. Row affected. Awesome. So now if I go back to the query, the select statement and execute it, now this is gonna change from C to S. Okay. There we go. See that? So now we'll learn update. You're gonna update in the table a value for the last name where, this is like when you say where you filter it, you be more specific to the rep ID equals 01, okay? Any question about this point? Any question? All right, so if you don't have a question, I'm gonna end it right here. I'm gonna give you some more time to catch up, okay? McZeal, make sure you do your stuff. Okay? That's your chance, buddy. All right, make sure you're on top of it. So we're gonna have a test maybe next Thursday or a Tuesday, okay? I'll let you know next week. I will let you know for sure on Tuesday. But I'm not gonna give you a test before you make sure you have the server running. And you have all the installation in place, okay? Because installing the SQL Server, installing the SQL Management Studio, you're gonna get great on that. And also you're gonna get great on the tables that you need to put on the system. All right. Any question at this point?
Sure.
All right. Make sure for the for the million times, please do not install external switch on your VMs in Hyper-V, and also try not to do snapshots because it takes in a lot of spaces. Okay. Now, if you want to separate your VMs from this class, if you have a good laptop or whatever desktop, install that information on your separate machine, that would be okay. Alrighty. We're gonna end it up right here. Oh, it's an edit. That's what you do in IntelliSense, yeah. Refresh local cache. That's what it is. Now I find it. Okay, so let's see. Stop recording at this point. And stop showing. Any question before we leave? Will I end the meeting? No questions? Okay, have a nice afternoon. We'll talk next week.